Pride creates spiritual darkness. Since the fall of sin in the Garden of Eden, we see the outworking of pride and unbelief in the lives of individuals, families, nations, and cultures. I do not think it was any accident that the first sin of man involved food. I think the fall in the garden shows us how difficult food issues and issues with pride and covetousness would be for our entire life on earth. As people suppress their knowledge of God, spiritual darkness grows, and in their thinking, God becomes smaller and they become larger. We make choices based on our own desires, what we want, and what we think we should have, instead of what God desires for our lives. We become the center of our world, and God is moved to the background, either through denial of His existence or distortion of His character. Self-importance and godless self-confidence grow stronger in our lives. One story from the Bible that comes to mind is the story of King Uzziah, who was a believer when he became king of Judah at the age of 16. He set his heart to seek God and put himself under the spiritual mentorship of Zechariah. As long as he sought the Lord, God made him to prosper. As a result, he acquired wealth and also became politically and militarily powerful. The same is for us when we seek God instead of food. He will fill us up with His goodness, and we will be satisfied and blessed in ways that food could never fill us with. Then things changed. His fame spread far, for he was marvelously helped till he was strong. But when he was strong, he grew proud to his destruction. The same happens to us. We become prideful. Our eating experience and what and how much we eat becomes all about us and what we want, and not about God who created us and the food. King Uzziah had stopped seeking the Lord and the spiritual mentoring of Zechariah. This suggests a lessening dependence on God and a growing reliance upon himself and his own strength and wisdom. How often do we lessen our dependence upon God and just eat because we want to eat and not allow God to fill us with His love and righteousness? It is so easy for pride to increase as we become stronger, more successful, more prosperous, and more recognized. Anything real or imagined that elevates us above others can be a platform for pride. Ironically, this is true even when things come as a result of God's blessings. This pride of heart led to presumption before God and brought very serious consequences upon him, illustrating the biblical warnings that pride leads to disgrace. We need to take responsibility for our actions and get on our knees before God and allow Him to lead us in the way of righteousness instead of going down the path of a proud heart. As a result of all his blessings, Uzziah, rather than humbling himself in thanksgiving to God, began to think more highly of himself than he should and have, and developed an exaggerated sense of his own importance and abilities. This pride of heart led to presumption before God and brought very serious consequences upon him, illustrating the biblical warnings that pride leads to disgrace. Our pride and selfishness through our eating has caused many health problems, teeth problems, mental illness, diabetes, high blood pressure, and so on. This is a result of the sin of our proud heart. God is calling you, and He is calling me to humble ourselves and wait on Him. Watch this illustration of how pride and selfishness get in the way.
What'd you learn today?
What I learned? Let me tell you. Today, I learned that being selfish doesn't pay. I tried it just the other day. I wanted to be happy. I thought it was the way, but it weren't.
I think you mean wasn't. It wasn't the way.
Well, now I know just what to do. Before I think about me, I better think about you. So send a message out to every boy and girl. There's no better way to make a really yucky world than being selfish.
Selfish.
It doesn't pay. I tried it.
You tried it just the other day.
I wanted to be happy.
Thought it was the way.
But it weren't.
Weren't. Wait a minute.
No, it weren't.
Wasn't. It should be.
No, it weren't.
King George. Wasn't.
No, it weren't.
Was not.
No, it weren't.
Pride brings bad consequences. It is time for us to take responsibility for our actions and begin to eat the way God created us and to crave after righteousness and allow God to be the priority in our lives.